Let's talk about One Punch Man Chapter 185. Coming off of Chapter 184 with the Vigilante Hunters group, this one opens up with Flashy Flash, and he is on the hunt for the remaining members of the Monster Association. But more importantly, Flashy Flash, he's looking for God because he's really one of the only heroes that has any idea about this guy. And he also brings up a little drawing of Monako because Monako did help save his life. Because even though Monako is a monster, Flashy Flash doesn't really forget the people who help him. He may have a massive ego, which we see more in this chapter, but at Flashy Flash's core, he's actually pretty upstanding. But after this, Flashy Flash eliminates this monster and he thinks of Saitama, and while he is still in denial that Saitama is in fact the god of this series, he does wonder if he should call him for help, but he also laces this with talking about how he has great potential and he should be mentored by him, of course. And we'll see what happens with Monako if they do come across him again, but this would not be the first time a hero has taken in a monster as a friend pet. Overgrown Rover and Black Sperm are just hanging out at the Saitama apartment. And then we cut over to Tank Top Master, and he is finally reverting back to his normal form after he had the unfortunate experience of being combined with Pig God's fat. And we see the Tank Top disciples mentioning that many heroes have retired after the Monster Association arc, and can we really blame them after they saw Garou, Sage Centipede, and Evil Natural Water? But despite this, we see some new recruits show up to join the Tank Top disciples, and Tank Top Master is of course ecstatic about this, and he says, "Don't worry, I'll teach you how to master the art of wearing the tank top." And then we cut over to see Phoenix Man, but he is a chick, and he is now working as a traffic stop member, helping some children across the street. But then we see Child Emperor is just dead staring at this man. So Child Emperor sits down with Phoenix Man, or Chick Man currently, and Phoenix Man says that he is stuck in this current chick form, though I do not believe this for a second. And I do not think that Child Emperor buys this as well, and it certainly doesn't seem like he does. And he is just here to get whatever information he can about the dark side of the Hero Association. He doesn't really care about Chick Man's current occupation. And then we see Super Alloy Darkshine, and he is having a rough time. His ego and spirit were crushed after the battle against Garou. And he says, "I just can't handle it anymore," and looks extremely depressed, and that's where we leave him this chapter, so that's pretty sad if I'm going to be honest. But then we get to the meat and potatoes of this chapter, and we see the forest folk marching across the city, very similar to the Deep Sea Kings guys. The sea folk, I guess every element has its own little army to pump out, and they say they're going to fertilize the earth by using the corpses of humans to rebuild the society of the forest. And that doesn't sound great or peaceful, so naturally some heroes show up to fight them. And we get the delivery of C-Class Legend Dynamite Man blowing up the forest as one does. And we get A-Class, C-Class, and B-Class in Magic Trick Man, Ecolograms, and Recluse Samurai. And unfortunately for them, this is One Punch Man, so they are destined to be jobbers for whatever giant creature comes out. And then Tank Top Master, the Jobber S-Class King, shows up to lead them, or in this case, rescue them from the roots that they are currently entangled in. But then we see Tank Top Master and all the Tank Top disciples, they just ram through all of the forest folk right into the Forest King, disaster level dragon. And this is kind of funny because somehow everyone did not see the giant tree man sitting behind all of the little forest folk. So Forest King, he is about to kill our S-Class hero, Tank Top Master, and he tells all of the forest folk to go get new fertilizer and then march forth. But immediately after this, there is a massive explosion with the word incinerate, and Genos emerges from the dust, looking exceptionally badass, and he says after these upgrades from Dr. Kuseno, I'm able to handle even dragon level threats. And he even says that maybe I should ask Saitama Sensei for another sparring match. And on the next page, we see a beautiful spread of Genos, and he says his signature line, "I will eliminate you." We then cut to a flashback of him talking to Saitama about getting new upgrades. We see an explosion, which seems to be the Forest King getting one shot, because after this, Tank Top Master is desperately working out trying to beat the machines and to not be perpetually outshined by Genos. And that is where the chapter ends, and this is one of my favorite One Punch Man chapters in a while. I just love Genos. He is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and him finally getting stronger in both the webcomic and the manga, it's pretty awesome. It's really about time, because Genos, he is an S-Class hero, he is strong, I almost want to power scale him at this point. He's usually used as a jobber, but I just know he's going to get his moment eventually, either against Drive Knight or Metal Knight or someone else. Pretty much everybody in the One Punch Man community loves Genos because he's just a likable guy. He doesn't really have an ego, and he's hardly a pain in the ass compared to the other S-Class heroes. Genos grew on Saitama for a reason because he is a genuine guy. Somewhere out there in the multiverse, Genos has his own manga where he is the shonen protagonist. As for Flashy Flash looking for God, well, if he actually finds God, I doubt it's going to end well. Or he's going to run into Blast again, because Blast really seems like a character that is constantly on the hunt for any and all God objects. That is pretty much all he lives for, so if Flashy Flash finds out information on God, I'm sure Blast will be right behind him. And once again, Saitama himself is going to be dragged back into the fray by Flashy Flash on his hunt for God. So we have some good setup now, again, for Saitama to be dragged into the thick of things. Because Flashy Flash hunting for God, I doubt God would take that lightly. Anytime anyone in the series almost spills information on God, especially if they accepted his power previously, they kind of get completely screwed because God is this enigmatic figure that we don't really know the full extent of his power or what he knows or how much he's able to influence the world, because we saw him appear on the moon. He could be watching over the entire planet. And given the fact that Blast has powers like dimensional travel and these different things, and he is constantly on the God hunt, I don't really think it's a hot take to say that God's probably interdimensional. Most people have come to that conclusion, and I think it's even pretty much shown at this point. And the further we get into the story of One Punch Man, God and Saitama, they have to run into each other eventually, because Saitama, that's his fight. But before they find any more cubes, they're probably going to find Monako first, and I'm sure they'll let Monako in and keep him safe, just like Overgrown Rover and Black Sperm, because he's a pretty good monster. Not all mysterious beings are the same as those imparted with divine power, because there seems to be a distinct difference between a mysterious being and someone God personally comes up to. At least that is my ongoing headcanon about One Punch Man. I expect in the future we're probably going to see at least one of these S-Class heroes accept God's power, because right now we have characters like Super Alloy Darkshine that are just in this horrifically low spot. And I could see a character like God taking advantage of that, though I'm not sure if we'd actually see that with Super Alloy Darkshine. I expect it would happen in a similar manner with a different character later. And my final thoughts for Genos, well, I don't really know where I'd rank him among the S-Class at this point, but he's definitely up there. This guy just one-shot a dragon level threat. Granted, Forest King is made of wood, so maybe he's weak to fire. And we have yet to see the full extent of these upgrades, but whatever they are, they're guaranteed to be stronger than whatever he showed against things like Elder Centipede, and those feats were already fairly impressive. Getting mopped up by Elder Centipede, really not the worst. Hardly an anti-feat to be unable to kill the thing that blasts like it away. But that's just my opinion on this chapter, and I want to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of Genos' new upgrade, and where would you put him in the S-Class currently? And are you slightly alarmed for Flashy Flash if he actually runs into another God Cube? I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm really curious to see what the next giant threat like Cosmic Fear Garou is going to be. But regardless, I thought this was a great chapter. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.